Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am great. Thank you.
I'm noticing your sleeves and thinking, oh my gosh, how did that 87-degree football game go at noon?
We left at halftime because I am too old and tired for 87 degrees sitting on a metal bench.
I mean, it could be 62 and pleasant, and that metal bench surrounded by people. It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a big drain.
yeah. I'm ready for
Yeah.
fall. Today is apparently the last day of it being unseasonably warm.
Okay. And that will hit us on the East Coast tomorrow.
Yes.
And then rain comes in on, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's there.
Can't
It's in
wait.
sight.
I try to do weekly meal planning. And so I was like, soup, stew. I'm like so ready
Yeah,
for
I
fall.
bet. I bet. Right. People will tune in to the YouTube version of this in our next episode, and we'll be all bundled up in
Yeah.
turtlenecks and scarves and
Yeah.
over indexing on sweater weather.
Okay, so it is a Monday morning and kind of early, and it can be hard to come up with a topic. So I have been playing around with AI and trying to get it to help not do my work for me, but prompt me creatively to get me to be smarter about the stuff that I'm doing. And I have never asked it to help with the podcast. So I thought that might be fun. And it came up with a pretty fun topic idea. So we're going to try it. And clearly, this is based on another game that I'm not going to mention, even though we do swear on here. But the game, it's a game format that my I should name my AI, I just call it my AI, that it
Right.
came up with. And it's called Keep, Kill, Evolve.
Okay.
So we are going
That's the
to,
very professional version
yes,
of this
keep, kill,
game.
evolve. So we're going to bring up program ideas, blasts from the past. You and I both started our agencies roughly 15 years ago or so. Lots of stuff that we were doing back then has changed. So we're going to just kind of go through them and talk about whether we'd keep them now, kill them entirely, or evolve them in some other way. So we can
Right.
start, let's start with a very easy one.
Okay. Lay it on me.
Twitter parties.
Okay, let's be honest. We loved Twitter parties, didn't we? Because the mass impact you could have. You could showcase such big numbers,
Yeah, the
right?
impressions were crazy.
Yep.
And I think when
And the
I were,
engagement was crazy.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess to start, I would say kill.
Or it's dead, like it's been killed. It's sort of, yeah.
I loved Twitter parties as a client. So when I was at Edelman putting together programs for my clients, I loved Twitter parties because they were incredibly inexpensive and you'd get millions of impressions in a very short period of time. And it solved a need. We then, when I started Sway, we then two things. So when we first started Sway, we were outsourcing Twitter parties, and I got
Mm.
burned very badly by a partner we used who was really taking advantage of the whole impression thing.
Okay.
And I felt like underestimating my ability to read a report. What ended
Right.
up happening
Like they
was,
were having conversations with themselves or
oh
something?
yeah, so they pulled in she and her business partner. I'm trying not to share too much because I don't actually like this person very much and don't want to call her out. She and her business partner pulled in another influencer and were using the hashtag planning their vacation, talking about completely unrelated things. And at the end of every tweet, they'd use our client's
Hashtag.
hashtag.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with the product. It had nothing to do with anything. And
Right. So
then I
skews the
get
results.
I get the invoice and I get this report, and it was like, great news, 10 million impressions, da da da, da. So amazing. And I was like, dude, so not
Right.
amazing.
Right. And, ooh, this is so juicy because it's related to like our impressions the goal, or is resonance and alignment the goal? Right. I mean,
Or some
hopefully
kind of
both.
combination. Like
Yes.
impressions are terrific if they are have anything to like an
Right.
impression on a hashtag placed at the end of two sentences that have absolutely nothing to do with my product are not helpful
Right.
to me.
And I think that's why I would say kill also, because that shit is still happening
You
today.
think?
It's not
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, not in that sort of like bald face, unethical context that you're talking about, but this idea that it's impressions or bust. And not all impressions are good impressions. Not all visibility. I mean, all press is good press. It's not. It's not. When you're paying for it, when you're, if it's free earned media, fine. But
Sure.
when you're paying for it, it's,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Do we think has it evolved to any since we're saying we don't have to keep kill or evolve because it died already?
yeah.
Do we think it evolved to anything? So if I'm a brand and I want influencers to talk publicly about my brand to boost awareness in a way that generates a ton of views in a short period of time, is there an option that has taken the place of the Twitter party?
Well, I don't think right now, because what I loved about the Twitter party, when done right, we would pull in a community of aligned influencers that were perfect for the message, perfect for the product, perfect for the party
Right.
context or theme. And they all ping off of each other and share ideas and are talking to each other's, to each the consumers or lay people who sort of follow or are brought into it. And I would love to see more of that. Like we used to do progressive parties on blog posts where you'd be linked, or a haunted house crawl. You'd go from one blog post to the next and be, we did something called Munch Madness, which was a take on, as you can imagine, the tournament, the basketball tournament. And it was a bracketed recipe contest that got all of the parties engaged. So that's what I miss. And I don't think that there's anything right now that does a good job other than the way like we as an agency or the brand team might structure it. I don't think there's a platform that
Yeah,
inherently
I
is
mean, you
connecting
can
people.
do, we've done live Twitch streams where we've pulled in two relevant people to either just have a conversation or go visit a restaurant or play a game together while talking about a product that has kind of the time span of a Twitter, actually longer. So Twitter parties would be 30 minutes or 60 minutes. We've done Twitch streams of upwards of 2 hours, but it's really been only two people. But then you have people chiming in the comments. I think that's kind of the closest. Where it differs tremendously is the reach. The reach of a Twitch stream is nowhere near what you used to get with the Twitter party.
And the Twitter parties also typically had going for them, there were giveaways. There
Yeah.
was a reason for lay people to come in. I mean, I think that was part of the death knell is every night of the week, there were 100 different Twitter parties going on with different hashtags. And you'd see not the influencers that were contracted to host it, but other folks bouncing around and like commenting and keeping conversations going. And you're like, well, shit, this isn't this isn't the spirit of it. This isn't,
Yeah.
the kind of alignment we want. This is just, and it goes into that couponing, discounting blogger that we are going to talk about too from
Yeah.
back in the day that we've
I
avoided
was just
that.
gonna, before we get to that, which is a fun topic, but I was gonna add that we actually changed the time of day that we were doing them because of exactly what you're talking about. Shortly before they died, we had moved our Twitter parties to earlier in the day, like a mid morning type of a thing, because we felt like we were still getting the reach that we wanted and it was a higher quality conversation and we weren't getting lost in a shuffle of hundreds of parties.
And when you say that, my mind starts springing ideas up like if you can own a day part on whatever platform you're talking about and have a regularly occurring event. I remember being a mom of young babies and being at home before my business, before Twitter, and being like, Ellen is on, great, something to like keep me interested. There's a space there, I think, still to own day parts, to own calendar blocks with entertainment, with engagement, with, as you're talking about. But I don't think anybody's doing it on that level. I think it's very, like, nothing's scheduled, right? If you see
Right.
these TikTok series that people are talking about, they become like a Netflix series, but it's on TikTok and it's branded. It's still not like
Yeah,
Must watch TV.
right, they have a release time, but you don't have to tune in at a
Right.
specific time.
Which,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll never get back there
Yeah.
because of the nature of social
Well, and
media.
certainly I feel like every year we read the predictions for the following year, and for the past 4 or 5 years, every year people say this is the year that live shopping is happening. And of course,
Yeah.
it never, like, it just seems, I know it's so popular over in China. It just seems like something that is not truly hitting here in the US. But that does carry that same element of this is happening at a moment in time and you have to
Okay.
tune in. Without, I think part of the reason it hasn't been succeeding is I would argue that it's without any of the entertainment factor and engagement. It's literally Home Shopping Network on TikTok.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And behind the scenes, the conversations I'm seeing in the CPG world, at least, TikTok Shop is an absolute nightmare. Like nobody can crack it. It's draining resources. Speaking of bad actors, everybody's looking for like, what agency can help me? And then somebody else is like, well, we've had a terrible experience with these 5 agencies. Like people are over promising. So maybe the opportunity is there, but I don't think anybody's solved for it yet.
Yeah.
The live shopping.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so you mentioned discount, like coupon
Yeah.
bloggers.
Right. Back in the day when we were starting, and this also connects to the blog posts as a evolve, kill. What's the other one? Marry? I don't know.
Keep.
Keep. Okay. So when we started, blog posts were anchor content. That was the hero content. It's long form content, except for there was a whole genre of bloggers who were using their blogs very much like social media looks today. They were posting upwards of 10, 12, 20 times a day. And it was deals, discounts, coupons, whatever they could find to sort of keep churning content out. And that was one of our early criteria of we'll never work with those people because we weren't offering discounts.
We sometimes
driven.
would, if we were doing something that was very retail focused or was promoting a giveaway or a contest or a coupon, we would pull in a bunch of those. I don't know that I would keep that. I think that has evolved. Some of the people who were doing that very successfully back in the day, I know have moved into Facebook pages and Facebook groups and are posting upwards of 20 deals a day, if not more, in these Facebook. I don't know if the one I'm thinking of, I can't remember if it's a page or a group, but I think it's a group posting just nonstop deals that they're seeing.
Are they monetizing those groups?
It has all moved to affiliate. So that was a lot trickier setting up affiliate programs. I remember I set one up back my daughter was a baby, or maybe not even born yet. So I think it was like 1998 or something. She wasn't even born yet. I remember setting up an affiliate program for a client of mine, and it was like, kind of coding, very difficult. But
right.
I think the bloggers and influencers who started with affiliate way back then were pretty highly technical, and not that many of them had it set up. I think affiliate has gotten democratized tremendously, and that has been some of why this sort of thing has changed.
Well, and we were working with food bloggers back in the day. So it made sense, a lot of sense for them to have a sponsored revenue stream, brand deals, and then to have an affiliate revenue stream to diversify.
Yeah.
But then it became, have your affiliate links on the posts that are sponsored. So remember all that technical, sort of limbo that they'd have to turn off. Like, how do you turn off affiliate links? You have to turn it off on just that one page, not the whole website. And I think that's one of the big differences I see today in that progression is affiliate has grown into its own respected channel. I don't think it was as respected back then because it kind of came out of the couponing deal side of things, but it certainly has taken on a life of its own and should not be ignored now. So I think that one just did evolve.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That made me think of two other things. Exclusivity. I feel like exclusivity has evolved tremendously.
Mm.
was, I don't recall it being called out as much in contracts.
In other words, you can't work with a competing brand within this time
Right, that
frame.
the influencer can't work with a competing brand within a certain period of time. And then it just made me think of it when you were saying like turning off the affiliate, because we do a number of retail type programs, we always have, but like I'm thinking we'll help brands who are launching in Costco, for
Mm.
example, and they'll want to use some of these Costco specific influencers. Those people do not do exclusivity
Right.
at all. That's
Yeah.
just not a thing. So I
Yep.
just think the industry as a whole has evolved, where there's influencers kind of know where they fall in the do I have to accept exclusivity or not
Right.
world.
We were tuned into exclusivity, or at least the competitive nature. This is kind of a funny story. We were working with US Potatoes, and one of the facets of our campaign management is that we do media audits. Like we're constantly watching the media for studies, reports, news, press releases, anything that could come out and impact the campaign. And we got wind of Stovetop Stuffing doing an anti-potato like ad. It was hilarious to me, and their competitors. And so I reached out to our contact at the agency that was working with us, and they're like, yeah, I know, we're on it. And I'm like, okay, but all of our pro potato influencer bloggers are ready to go to bat for you. Like you've got this active. In fact, that's something that I wish I would like to evolve is crisis communications, using influencers more for crisis
Yeah. We
comms.
used to we used to do it for recalls. I mean, I
Oh
remember we
yeah.
were we were working with a car seat company and they had a recall and you had to swap out the straps on the car seat
Hmm.
to comply with the recall.
Yeah.
And we pulled in an influencer who we had used to promote that brand prior to the recall. We pulled in the influencer. We looked at everyone who we worked with, who performed best, who had the highest engagement on their blog post. We identified the one who did. Then we pulled her back in. She sat through an entire training session with the product people at the brand, learned how to switch out the car seat straps, and then
Yep.
demonstrated that in a
Carried the
video. And
message.
we did this whole
Yeah.
initiative.
We once were running a campaign for a artisanal lettuce brand when the romaine recalls and
Dang, the E.
salmonella.
coli. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it salmonella or
I
E.
think
coli?
either way, what fun.
Yeah. I've
And
had both last year.
oh no, sorry for your luck. Yeah, we were in the middle of it. And it was an amazing experience because, again, the influencers are such great immediate conduits for correcting information, knocking back myths.
Mm-hmm.
The brand that we were working with, luckily, was not in question. So they could share that messaging. But it was like immediate. You didn't have to wait, even a week for a press release to be crafted and sent out
Yeah.
in the weeds. The other competitive I want to mention is eggs and milk. They are competitive. So you couldn't work with the egg board and also work with Got Milk campaign. These are the things, that most
I
people I
think
think
some of
don't
that has
understand.
loosened up. I know that some of that has loosened up. Like we'll have clients now and they'll always try. So they'll say, like nothing in no other packaged foods. And then you can kind of be like, okay, let's
Yeah.
get real. We're going to just do Asian sauces. No
Right.
other Asian sauces. Like,
Right.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's been some loosening.
Well, and there's the education piece, right? From our agency experience side, and having worked with such a multitude of influencers where brands don't have that same capacity or opportunity, we get to say, this is actually going to kill your relationships if you go too broad with this competitive piece.
Do you remember? So when you first started your agency, because this is over 15 years ago because we were doing this back when I was still at Edelman. I remember I was working on a bunch of food brands and we had this list of mom bloggers and you could just send them the food and they would write about it for free. Do you remember that? And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have this list and I'm just going to send them this product and they're going to write about it." It was pretty short-lived. I think it was probably less than a year when like until those bloggers realized they were getting bombarded with crappy food products and they
Right.
were not getting paid by a magazine to
Yeah.
be reviewing them. Like that was kind of that.
Like an
I always
awakening.
talk about this transition of influencers from journalists to spokespeople, like that realization that got made, like,
Right.
okay, that most of these people are not journalists who appreciate free stuff to review in an unbiased way. What you actually want to use them as is paid spokespeople
Right.
to put out your key messaging points and be able
Yeah.
to dictate how they do it
It's
and when
advertising.
they do it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We were very clear. In fact, the origin story of my agency is how can we get bloggers paid? So we were actually super anti what you just described. We would never have reached out and expected our community of influencers to do anything for free. Sometimes it might be for product if the product was worth
This
enough.
was, to be clear, this was like 2008. This is like when they were,
Well, I know.
like back in the early days before blogs were even a way to get, just to
Yeah.
stick up for myself a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Like
No, no,
part of
no.
why I started the agency is because I wanted influencers to be paid and to be paid fairly and all of
Right.
that. But
You
this,
saw the
I'm
value.
talking like way early days, like before there were banner ads, before
Right.
like,
Right. Right. And I think what I saw was the pushback from the food bloggers, especially that they were not journalists, as you're saying, and they didn't have the umbrella organization to fund shipping the Nespresso machine back after they sampled it and used it and reviewed it. They were like, no, that's like, I'm doing this out of my house and I'm not taking on that extra expense. So I saw all of that happening in my lead up to launching the agency. And I didn't mean to disparage it. I just know that we literally were like,
yeah.
this is a line in the sand. And when any brand came to us and said, hey, we want to get, it's actually interesting. So gifting and seating,
Is
that can
so
be
popular
something.
right now.
And
Yeah.
we had been so staunchly against it because it often came with the overtones of a little bit of taking advantage of the influencers, a little bit of not really loving that. But now, done right, I see how it can be a nuanced addition to the paid piece. In fact, we're doing a whole big, really interesting presentation on gifting and seating with an agency that's a design agency working with one of the attendees. And I've learned so much
At
about
your
the
at
nuance.
the Nimbus conference that's
Yeah,
coming up. Yeah.
yeah. This by the time people listen to this, it will have already happened. But so it's a fascinating, that's one that has evolved also. And I love that it has evolved, but I think the business case for it needs to evolve too, like the underlying why you're
Yeah.
doing it, how
You
you're
know, what's
doing it.
interesting about the evolution of that is that, like, you and I are looking back to the early trends, and it was, wow, sending these people this product and expecting them to write about it for free is taking advantage of them. And I think it's kind of flipped around to the other direction. I often say to my clients, to the brands, don't do seeding because you're likely not gonna get the quality of content that you want. You can't guarantee how much content you're gonna get. Like, this is not good for the brand. And there are so many influencers now and more popping up every day that there are plenty of them for whom getting a product sent for free does not feel like they're being taken advantage of. They want that. They
They're
want
new enough,
products.
you
Yeah,
think? Yeah.
new enough, or I don't know. I think I mean, to be clear, back when we were sending free products, I was sending like Kraft bagelfuls, which are frozen bagel Twinkies, not high value.
Right.
There are beauty influencers now getting, lotions upwards of $150 to $200. There's a difference now in what's being seeded, but
Totally. And I think with the evolution of the industry, the seeding or gifting, which again, I think those have different definitions, but it is part of a more mature plan. And so if you do it well, it can be that springboard to longer term relationships with influencers. But the danger is absolutely there of doing it wrong, mishandling it, burning bridges. I've been still in Facebook groups where the influencers just, rage about the chocolate chip company that's offered them a $3.29 bag of chips for a recipe 3 social media posts, and the brand harm that happens behind the scenes is real because they're all sharing it with each other and there's 10,000 people in that Facebook group. So the danger is still there of doing it really poorly. I don't think
Yeah,
that has
for sure.
evolved out.
Oh my gosh, we ran out of time and we only got through like 2 things.
Let me just put one plug in for
Put
blog
one more.
long form. I want long
Yes.
form to come back. I want to keep it and
So we
evolve
want to
it.
evolve blogging. We want to evolve. I mean, I think it's transitioning. You know, my food blog was on Typepad, and a lot of the blogs I followed were on Typepad. And rest in peace, Typepad
Yeah.
disappeared last week with very little notice to the blogger. Like,
Yeah, just pull the rug out.
somehow I at a board moment during COVID, I had transitioned mine over to WordPress. Thank goodness, so I didn't lose all those memories.
Yep.
But I do think blogs are not so much a thing anymore. It's kind of moved over to the Substack and
Medium
newsletter and
agreed.
But yeah, I love long form
Yeah,
content.
I do too. Everything old is new again. So I feel like everything we've talked about has its moment, and I do think the long form will come back. I think it's important that it comes back. I think whether it's AI or SEO, searching it, it's much more searchable. It's much more long lasting, which has its ups and downs. You know, some brands might not want to be anchored into perpetuity with some of these, but that used to be the other thing, is you could tell brands this content will live on.
Yeah.
But it doesn't when it's on social media. It's gone. It's ephemeral.
Gone. Yeah.
So that's why I like blog posts.
It's
but this was fun. What a great idea.
I love the nostalgic ones. Thank you, AI, for this suggestion.
Poking our memories, sparking our memories.
Awesome. Okay.
Right.
Well, we will see you next week. We'll hear a recap of Nimbus, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd love that. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.